Hi, it's Prema, and welcome back to Your Best Kept Secret to Success. I'm thrilled that you're here with me today. I'm wondering, have you ever built something successful only to realize it doesn't fully fit who you're becoming? Not who you are, but who you're becoming. You followed the strategies, you reached milestones that others would celebrate, but inside you feel that quiet ache. This isn't it. This isn't like the whole story. This isn't all of me. You know that you're evolving. You know your inner wisdom has been whispering, maybe even shouting at you, and that it's time for more. But not more like hustle or push or grind, but more alignment, more truth, more prosperity that actually feels alive, that enlivens you. And yet, trusting that inner wisdom isn't always easy, especially when the outside world says you should be grateful for what you've built. Today, we're talking about the moment when you realize your next level isn't about doing more, it's about trusting more, trusting the evolving of your soul, of your work in the world, trusting the deeper blueprint of your prosperity, and trusting that the path forward is already opening, and it's opening you like simply in a way that's unique to you, and you've really got no choice but to walk that path. Like there's a lot of friction inside of you if you don't actually move forward. Maybe you're not sure how to move forward. You might be feeling that friction, between what's working and, what you feel your true calling is. Or maybe you're not sure what the next level of your true calling is, but there is something calling you. So that's what our conversation is about. It's deep. There's a lot here to cover, and we'll just trust the process. So let's dive into trusting your inner wisdom in the true path to lasting prosperity and soul aligned leadership. I want to remind you that if you're watching live, you are welcome to call in with any questions. And the number is 1-866-451-1451. If you have a question, a comment, a topic, or something you just want to share with me, be sure to send that to askprema@soulutionary.com. That's SOUL, Soulutionary. And that link is with the show, wherever you're watching the show. So first I want to dive into, and I also want to remind you that if you haven't taken the Sacred Wealth Archetype quiz, you can do that, the Sacred Wealth Code quiz. Now, you can get one of your Sacred Wealth Code archetypes by taking that quiz, and that'll help you to understand more of your unique gifts, your divine gifts, and also where you may be stuck in your shadow. So you get a lovely printout of your archetype and a little bit of training that goes along with that. So that's totally free, and that link is here as well. It's on the main page of my website, Soulutionary, also. Okay, let's dive in first to the astrology, a little bit about the current transits, and then we'll dive into our main topic today. There's a lot going on. There has been a lot going on. You've been feeling all the shifts. You're probably still feeling them. We haven't fully come out the other side. And May brings us two more powerful shifts that are going to bring some powerful momentum. It really is, it's a turning point. And really an invitation into the next alignment forward. We've come through a lot of shifts, a lot of what could feel like chaos still, truthfully, with all the eclipses and conjunctions that we have had in the sign of Pisces in Vedic astrology, which is the 12th house of the zodiac, which is a place of surrender and letting go and release and embracing our spiritual side. But that sometimes can feel like loss. Now, that is particularly a house that's defined by your soul blueprint, by your chart. It could be your first house, it could be your 10th house of business and career, it could be your fifth house of children and romance. It just depends on your chart. But collectively, for all of us, it is the 12th house. And so just, if you haven't faced some surrender yet, or the feeling of loss in some way, or sort of bumped up against like, hey, I really have to let that go, then you're pretty unique, because I think this time has called all of us to do that in one way or another, because there's been so many planets involved. So we have a big transit coming up with Jupiter, which I really want to talk about. But first, I want to talk about this conjunction with Saturn and the north node of the moon, Rahu, that is still going on in Pisces through the end of the month. And at the end of the month, that will shift out because the nodes of the moon will move from Pisces in Vedic astrology, the sidereal zodiac, to uh, move from Pisces to Aquarius and move from Virgo to Leo. I'll get into that in a future episode, maybe next week or the week after. But I want to talk about this. Saturn is really our discipline, our responsibility, our karma, and it meets Rahu, which is really sort of the amplification of things and where we're going, our desire, and also can be obsession. So this powerful convergence has been asking us and asking conscious leaders to ground their visions in tangible, soul aligned action. Now, this doesn't come without the amplified karmic lessons that go along with it because Saturn has this slow pressure. Saturn is going to be here for 2.5 years in the sign of Pisces. This has just started as far as Saturn goes, putting its pressure on this part of our soul blueprint. Rahu's urgency can intensify the karmic patterns around this area for us and our leadership, our boundaries, our integrity, and our soul purpose. So you can feel like there's an inner pressure right now, things that you need to resolve or that you're facing that are going, the circumstances are bringing them to you in a way that resolve is inevitable. Now, there's nothing wrong with resolve, but what we want to stay out of is the fear that can come along with this kind of internal pressure. And Rahu, which is the magician in the sacred wealth code system, always wants to make things go faster, harder, bigger, stronger. And so Saturn is there to remind us, no, we get to still take our time, even with our karmic lessons. We may be facing some illusions with Rahu and Pisces because it can create this confusion, and just watch out for your sort of spiritual bypassing or chasing unattainable ideals. Saturn brings us down to that grounded clarity, that embodiment, like what is really true. And Pisces is a sign of real devotion. And what can you really be devoted to? So, this gives us some really big opportunities for our spiritual maturity. Yay, fun. Maturity, adulting is not always super exciting and fun, but it always leads to a greater experience for ourselves, a truer experience of who we are. And it just means that sometimes we have to face we have to face the lessons. We have to face our own shadow in things. So if you're up against that right now, take a deep breath, slow down with yourself, really tune in, ask for the inner guidance that you need. You want to surrender to the process. This transit can really accelerate deep wisdom, humility, and help you to become detached, really help you with your authentic service without the ego attachment. Your commitments may be tested as well. Where have you been overcommitted or misaligned or been avoiding responsibility? So the Saturn Rahu can reveal that. And Saturn is really the keeper of time. So Saturn can make us feel like we just don't have enough time. And the truth is, if we slow down, time becomes different. The yogis don't measure life by how many breaths you can take. It's how few breaths you can take, how long, how slow can we make them, because we expand time when we do. So if you're not doing any breath practice, I encourage you to do some breath work, even if you're just slowing down your breath, taking it slow, counting your exhales longer than your inhales, a couple of things that can expand the moment so that you can really tap in to your inner wisdom. So, for conscious entrepreneurs and leaders, it's a vital time to reassess our business models, our client relationships, and our personal leadership, and shedding what's unsustainable to really create what's aligned for us as far as our soul success goes. And we'll be talking more about those things in this episode. The other transit I want to speak into here is Jupiter is transiting into Gemini for a year. It moves from one sign to another, stays there for a year. There'll be a little retrograde in moving into Cancer, and then a little retrograde back into Gemini. But essentially, it'll be there from May 15th until the 2nd of June in 2026. So May 15th, 2025 to the 2nd of June in 2026. Wherever Jupiter is in your chart, which is our great sage, and also very much the visionary in this placement, being the air sign that Gemini is. And this major shift brings in a lot of blessings and brings in a lot of grace, whatever Gemini represents in your chart. Again, whatever house that might be. This could be your second house of wealth or money. Maybe it's your, if you're an Aries ascendant, it's your third house. And we look at it collectively as the third house, which is a place of, it's the arts, it's communication, it's also competition, it's also our desires at some level, and our initiatives. So it's a great time to be starting new projects, and the projects that have sort of been brewing and through this time of shift that we're in. This is the time you're going to feel like, okay, now I can really get the bigger vision here, the visionary, and see the lay of the land, and how the new project or the business model you're stepping into, whatever that might be, that you can see the structure of it, and it's a great time to really launch it. So Gemini is ruled by Mercury, and it emphasizes our adaptability, our communication. It's the great, where's my communicator? It's the communicator in the archetype system, and it's also the merchant. Mercury rules business. So again, this is a great transit here. Jupiter blesses Gemini with expansion through our ideas, our conversations, our communication, our innovations, and our collaborations. But this is also a place where we can overthink a lot or stay up in our heads. And it's going to be essential that we come down into our embodiment, get down into our bodies. It's a time for conscious leaders to really teach, write, share, coach, collaborate, and reach into audiences maybe that you weren't before. But this is where you can spread the word wider, or shift who you are speaking to, if you're up for a shift in your purpose in your business. So the focus is on evolving how you communicate your message, how you communicate your work or what you're taking a stand for, and really meet that growth, that expansion that Jupiter is bringing in. This is going to also impact with blessing the signs of Sagittarius, of Libra, and Aquarius as well. Will feel this expanded blessing just because of the trinal aspect that Jupiter brings here. So I'll be talking more about this, and I may even teach a class on this particular transit for the year. It's bringing in a lot of grace, like I said, a lot of expansion, and I'm excited for this shift. Jupiter's been in Taurus, which has been great. It's helping us to reevaluate our values, wealth, financial systems, security, and what even makes us feel secure. It's a fixed placement where it's been in Taurus, which creates stability, but it also can create a level of being stuck. Again, we're not meant to stay in one energy always. So things are always shifting up. I like to think of it as in our evolutionary process. It's kind of like a spiral that's shaped like a cone, and that's the bottom being the the pointy end, and that we keep spiraling around and around, and maybe we're touching on some of the same soul challenges, some of the same lessons and gifts and expansions, but each time, we bring the wisdom to it. And Jupiter's all about wisdom. What the knowledge that we've experienced and lived from what we've been through, and now the wisdom that we've taken from that, and how are we going to apply that to our lives going forward, to our lives, to our businesses. We're always in this evolutionary process. So if you are up against anything that you feel like, God, I've been here before, but what's different about it now? What's different about your experience now? Or how could you choose to experience it differently if you really applied the wisdom that you have gained over the years? So if today's insights are resonating and you're feeling that pull to understand your soul's timing, your true wealth blueprint, and even more deeply, this is an invitation for you. I offer private Vedic astrology readings where we dive deep into your cosmic map, your soul blueprint for your purpose, your prosperity, your aligned next steps, your soul challenges. And you can book a reading with me. The link is going to be with this podcast wherever you're watching it, in the show notes or on YouTube. And I would love to sit down with you and really dive into your soul blueprint. So if you'd like a reading and know how all these aspects hit you, book one with me and we'll meet. And yeah, it'll be really great. Okay, so let's dive in here. You've built something powerful, or you're ready to build something powerful, and still part of you knows it's time for something deeper. Like true prosperity doesn't come from rigid plans or from external validation. You could get all the validation externally and you may not have prosperity flowing, or you might have prosperity flowing in a way that you feel like it's a little bit of a jail. So it's comes from this trusting your evolving inner wisdom again and again and again. And as your leadership and your wealth plan naturally expand, and they do over time, it's connected to those, like I said, like that wisdom that we learn. And then now we can step into the next level, the next expansion for ourselves, because now we know what we know now. And not just know it, and having worked with and working with a lot of conscious leaders, entrepreneurs, healers, the gap that we need to close is between what we know and what we're actually being, doing, experiencing, that embodiment piece, because it's not enough to know. We have to actually be that, step into that evolution. We can't just pontificate about it. We've got to actually do it and be it, move from our soul all the way down to the soles of our feet. So sometimes, we're in this place where, you've built something, but it just doesn't fit anymore. So just think about that for a moment. Where are you at? What have you built that doesn't fit anymore? Or maybe you're just at the crossroads because you know that something is coming next and don't know just what it is. And it's not that everything you've created, didn't serve a time. I remember sitting in my office in the house that I'm in right now. I'm in my video room downstairs, my studio, but sitting in my office, which is it's windows on all sides, and I can see the water. I can see the mountains, an island across the way, sometimes eagles flying over, my beautiful garden, big, huge maple and redwood tree. It's just gorgeous. And this was a dream home for me. But I can remember sitting in my office a few years ago, and I had two group programs running, had private clients, and I was at a level of prosperity that was great on paper. Let's just put it that way. But I was also feeling like, this isn't just it. This is not, it's it, but it's something more was calling me forward. And also I was working with this in a way that the strategy fit for a little while. And then after a while, it just didn't fit anymore. And I had to really tune in, or I had to listen to what was coming through actually for me, because I'm tuning in all the time, and be willing to take the next steps, which were to do it differently. I'll talk a little bit more about that as we move through our content today. But just checking in, like, where are you at with that? Where are you at with where you are? Have you been using a strategy that maybe isn't serving you anymore? Inner wisdom isn't like this bonus. It's your true wealth blueprint. Having your sacred wealth code can really help speed up the process and really understanding where you are to focus and the timing of things. But truly, your inner wisdom is always speaking to you, and always, your higher self is wanting to guide you. And that's your soul speaking to you. And whether that feels like, that it's like turn here or go there, or you have this total resistance to doing something, and that you're not just kind of in the way of yourself. It's that really listening in to this inner GPS that's always talking to you. So you may have felt like you have done all the things, but something still feels off, that the strategy worked, And maybe you had a lot of success. Like I was talking about, I had a lot of success at that particular time from something that started to not feel aligned anymore. And yet your soul's asking for more than just achievement. It's asking for this real alignment. Like, that deep sort of, it's like a deep groove that you can feel like you're just like in this deep flow, like things feel so very right, even if you can't point to the outside and say, oh, that's working because of that. Or maybe the wealth hasn't consistently started flowing yet, but you feel it. It's like, no, I am exactly where I'm supposed to be. That is such a great feeling. And that is the feeling that I do my best to work from. And then sometimes we have to clear things out of the way, right? When we're not there. But you are never meant to build your purpose, your wealth, or your business based solely on external strategies. Let's talk about what strategies are. Strategies in whatever we're doing, whether it's a health strategy, a way to save or build your money, the strategy that you're using to grow your work in the world, your leadership, your business. There's nothing wrong with a strategy. It's a system that somebody made up and they used it and it worked for them and they used it enough time and other people used it. And so now we can say, oh, it's a proven strategy. Well, that's great. But it's a proven strategy for a match, an energetic match to who it's going to work for at whatever particular time. Just because it works for someone else doesn't mean it's necessarily going to work for you. Or maybe like me, there was a strategy I was using and then it stopped working for me. And I could have worked it and I could have continued to get the same results, but I was starting to feel burnt out with that. And it felt off. It felt like a set of clothes that I was wearing that didn't fit anymore. The style wasn't right. It was too tight. I couldn't sit there comfortably. Like it just didn't fit anymore. Your inner wisdom it's not this accessory, like it's always speaking to you. A strategy can work for you, but it's an architecture and it has to match your sacred architecture. It has to match your sacred wealth coding, your sacred architecture. And then a lot of times we get fear that comes up like, well, if I don't do it the way that other people did it, well, then, or the way I did it before, then maybe I'm not going to be able to be successful in this way. Look, when you trust your soul's direction, you activate prosperity from within without betraying your truth. If somebody else made up a strategy and it worked, there is a strategy within you that your soul has for you. And it's fine. Again, if it's like something else, look at where there's not a lot that's really new. It's kind of like Mexican food, that's all the same ingredients. We have to mix it up differently. A lot of things have already been created and ideas as that goes. But you want to be able to stay aligned to what feels right, what your soul is calling you to. So your personal strategy is really encoded in your soul blueprint. And your soul, your intuition is trying to speak to you all the time, guiding you to that. So you don't need more information. You need that deeper self-trust and that deeper listening. Chances are, and there's a good chance, that you already know. You already know what the next move is for you to make, or the next up level is, or what you want to let go of and step out of. And then it's, can you really trust yourself to do that? You've got nothing to lose, but sometimes fear will get in the way. And we'll talk about that because it's trying to keep you small. But first, I want to talk about that everything is meant to evolve. Again, remember that spiral I was talking about? It's like a upside down cone. That we are meant to evolve, and sometimes you're evolving faster than your business, and you could be afraid to really trust that shift. It's hard to trust the unknown. It's easier to look for, oh yeah, okay, well they did it that way, and I want to know how it's going to work out. The soul doesn't work that way. Creativity doesn't work that way. So if you felt the quiet ache that what you've built no longer matches who you're becoming, you're not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. You're just evolving. And this is a natural process. And the more you get used to navigating the fact that you are always evolving, unless you stop yourself from that, then when you know that and you can really embody that and embody the trust in yourself to go where you are evolving to, it all just becomes a lot easier. You're not pushing against things. That's being very much in the flow. You're not, falling behind in any way. You're just outgrowing an old version of success. When that particular time I was talking about, I was absolutely evolving into the next level. And the next version of success was calling me forward, which meant that it was that part of the structure in the way that I was teaching I was going to let go of. And then part of it was evolving. I want to say the part I was letting go of wanted to be released so that I could evolve my teaching containers, my guiding containers, in a way that I wasn't using an old strategy to attract people into them. So it wasn't so much that I wanted to throw it all away. I just knew that there was a different way to align with the people who were really a match for what I had to offer, because the old way was really burning me out, getting on sales calls, um, spending too much time in free content. There was this level of burnout, even though I had been really successful with that. So I had to make a really big shift in that. And, true leadership means allowing our business model, our offers, our expression to breathe and to flex with who we are becoming. And at the time, for me, it was really about honoring the magnetism, honoring the energetic match and energetic attraction, and working that strategy, which makes total sense to me. And I've created some great trainings on that for my Sacred Wealth Mastery program, because I know that everything is energy first. I'm aligned with that. So I had to really sink into that deeper. And in that, I created um, plenty of success, but in a very different way, a way that felt much more spacious to me. And also, I have to say that the people who I started to attract were also meeting me at a different level, because I allowed myself to step into where I was evolving. So I've seen this time and time and time again. But again, it's not always an easy shift. Like, fear can try to keep you small, and trust will lead you forward. So sometimes you might be in that place where maybe you know what you want. You've really sat down with the vision. You know, have you're really clear on what you want, how you want it to feel even, but fear keeps pulling you back into the old strategies. Fear is not a sign that you're wrong. It's a normal biological response when you're stepping into an expansion. When you're going bigger, guaranteed that fear is going to come up. Here's the thing about fear, is we just want to befriend it. It is false evidence appearing real, but we don't need to make it bad or wrong. We just need to find out who's driving the fear buzz, what belief is actually driving that fear. And when we can put our arms around ourselves and that part of ourselves and grow it up, and that's why I've created a lot of processes, like rewriting your story or the polarity process to neutralize these extreme emotions of where we want to be and where we feel, the fear that we're in, so that we can just get into this normal rhythm and habit, just like brushing our teeth every day, that we clear the path. That's why I do a healing circle every month as well, that we just clear the path. Because whenever you want to step into that next expansion, when your soul is really calling you into what's next, it is the unknown. And there's a part of us, the ego part of us, that wants to know. So you don't have to jump off the cliff. You don't have to throw it all away overnight. I didn't. But you make the inner shift. You shift and your world shifts. You make the inner shift. And then you start taking inspired actions one step at a time on the inner shift. as you phase out of the way you were doing something and as you phase into the new way of doing something. Now, depending on how you're wired, you may be somebody who's got a little bit more fire, a little bit more Mars or Sun energy, and you're more the let's just jump off the cliff and go kind of a person. And so that means maybe you are going to stop something cold turkey and you're going to start something new tomorrow. And then maybe you're driven more by Saturn and you're going to do it very slowly, one step at a time. This is another reason why knowing your soul blueprint is so important, because you have a unique way of moving in the world and you want to honor that. Like I had a client once who the way she got herself to move was by literally jumping off a cliff almost, moving somewhere new, starting completely brand new, making the shift in the business. And she was very successful doing that way. And I've also helped many people walk from maybe the corporate world or the business they've been in for a long time, and then tune into what they're evolving into, start to build that, start to phase out the other thing, and eventually walk over the bridge and make the shift into what is new again. And there's ways to do it in between. You need to honor where you're at. Trust isn't blind faith. It's daily dialogue with your soul that says, I hear you, I see you, I choose you. This is why tuning in with our hearts, tuning in and listening is so important. We shift this, like I said, in a lot of ways. We have old stories that are going on, and I have a rewrite your story process that's incredibly powerful. I'm going to give you a little tiny taste of that today to maybe shift a story for you. But self-trust builds sovereignty in your leadership. It's not reactive leadership that we want. That's based on outer validation. It's that trust in what you are truly here to lead, and however that's showing up, whether that's showing up as an artist in your creativity, whether that's showing up as the business that you've built, the service, the product, whatever it might be. Maybe you're leading a foundation and you've got some very important charity work that you're doing. That sovereignty in your leadership and you trusting that is so incredibly valuable. That's aligned with your wealth code. That's aligned with your purpose and prosperity. The leadership that you're looking outside of yourself to see if this is where you should be or how you should be leading is that outer validation. And that is a slippery slope that will pull you all over the place and never quite give you a real answer, never quite give you the validation that you're looking for. So we want to shift that. You don't have to overcome fear by force. You expand beyond the fear by aligning your evolving truth. So you're not building a life, a business, or wealth system that ends. You're building it as a living, breathing, sacred architecture that expands with you. And trust is not just a bridge. Trust is the path. I'm going to do a real quick little process with you here. Again, I'm just shifting the story on something. So if you have the opportunity to close your eyes, go ahead and do that. Put your hand on your heart. If you are driving, don't close your eyes. Just stay tuned in. And just take a couple of deep breaths as you have your hand on your heart. And just start to become aware of what's bubbling up for you in this conversation today. What are you tuning into? What's coming up for you? What's the fear that's coming up? What's the shift that's coming up? What's really speaking to you? And I want to invite you just to let your mind just drop down to your heart. You could just imagine it's on a stairway or a slide and slide all the way down into the very center of your heart. Take a deep breath in and out through your heart. And just tune into what's the number one fear or belief that is holding you back, or another way I can ask that is if it was resolved, it would be really easy to trust yourself. What's the fear that's holding you back from trusting yourself on your next evolving step? And whatever that is, there's a story that you have going on that fear is keeping you safe in some way. So maybe it's keeping you safe by not you not being seen because you're not stepping out. Maybe it's keeping you safe by keeping you, small in some way. So there's a story around that. Just notice what that is. And then I want you to tune into what would be a high level story that would align with where your heart really wants you to go, what you're really being called into next. What would be the higher intention there, or what would be the story that would be a match for that? That you're able to start what's on your heart, and the prosperity will flow easily, the clients will come, you'll have the right investor. Like, what's the story that would really support where it is that you want to go? And take a moment just to tell the part of yourself that's been trying to keep you safe and small, thank you. Just thank you. It's just a part of you that's not grown up. And being aware that if you have a bigger vision for yourself, there's a part of you that is very evolved, very true, and very on the path. And I want to invite you just to take a moment to tell yourself a new story. It can be a short one, just a paragraph, that's fine. And really tune into how you'll feel, just knowing that you've got everything you need for the next steps, whatever the story may be for you, whatever that higher intention is. It's kind of the flip side of what the fear was. And how will that feel for you? It'll be expansive, give you a sense of freedom. Maybe that gives you a deeper sense of security. Just tune into what that is. You being able to feel what goes along with this story is the glue. Is the glue. So take a moment to allow your soul to tell you what the higher intention is for you now. And when you're ready, you can feel free to open your eyes. I would write that higher intention down and the feelings that go along with the new story. And again, that's just a mini version. You can always go back and take a little more time with it and do it again. So if today's conversation is resonating and you're feeling the stir of your next evolution, you don't have to walk it alone. Inside Sacred Wealth Mastery, we activate your unique wealth blueprint and design and aligned leadership and visibility and prosperity pathways your soul is ready for. It's not about more strategies. It's about trusting your sacred architecture, your sacred design, and expanding into the business, the wealth, the leadership that already lives in you. So if your soul knows it's time, you can learn more by sending me an email. Ask Prema at Soulutionary.com. Email will be with wherever you're watching this video. And simply, you could just write invite. Simply let me know that you'd like some more information about Sacred Wealth Mastery, and I'll be happy to share that with you. All right, let's talk about some of the archetypes here. So the discomfort you're feeling isn't a mistake. It's a signal that your soul is ready to expand. And if you trust your inner wisdom is the foundation for your evolving prosperity, then how do you stay anchored in that trust as you grow, lead, and expand? This is where your innate gifts, the energies you're here to embody, become essential. So let's explore two powerful Sacred Wealth Code archetypes that can support you in embodying deeper trust, leading from your soul's highest wisdom, and really trusting that. So first I want to talk about the Sage. This is one of Jupiter's archetypes. We talked about Jupiter moving into Gemini for the rest of 2025 and till June 2026. And Jupiter has three archetypes: the sage, the visionary, and the teacher. Now, the gift here is being wise, intuitive, expansive, and truth-seeking leadership. But the shadow here is righteous when scared of being wrong. This is that need to be right, got to be right, because it's not safe to be wrong. And the shift here is to trust the deeper wisdom you already carry, even when it's not fully logical yet. To really trust that when it comes in, even though your mind can't make total sense of it. It's a download, because the mantra here is the truth will set me free. And if you want to get the Sacred Wealth Code Oracle deck or in the book or journal, it's all available on my website or on Amazon. This trust, this inner trust of that deeper wisdom, the more you do it, the more you tune into your heart, the more you sit with and journal about what's coming through, the more familiar it gets for you. The Queen also here is our empowered, compassionate, feminine leader, visible, and also a very protective guide, like a mother as well. And the shadow side here is over control and fear of losing that influence. And, think of it like the controlling mother. That it can very much be that. And the shift here is to lead your next evolution from sovereignty, not from perfection, but from sovereignty, from that true feminine freedom. And we all have masculine and feminine within us, that intuitive freedom. It's a very an empath, very much the Queen, and all of the moon's archetypes represents the moon. And the mantra here is, I am an empowered feminine leader. Empowered feminine leader. And again, we all have masculine and feminine. That feminine leadership side of us is the all-inclusive. It's intuitive. We want to create community. It's not just about us being the one. It's about, the collective and creating a greater movement. So if you're curious about your Sacred Wealth Code archetypes, you could also book a Sacred Wealth Code archetype reading, and you'll find the link with the show about that as well. So we're going to dive into, I'm going to do an archetype card reading, and I want to invite you to just bring into your awareness, what's been coming up for you today in this conversation. If you have a particular question that you're bringing to our time together, or that's come up for you, you're looking for some guidance on, whether it's directly related to our subject or not, you can hold that question. I'm going to pick 3 cards. You could say, hey, card number 2 is going to be my answer. You could just sit back, take all of the information in, and just tune into what really lands for you. Any way you want to work with this reading is perfect. I want to remind you that all of the archetypes, there's 23, 3 for each planet and 1 for the north, 1 for the south node of the moon. And you have a wealth code that's got 3 to 5 archetypes, but all of these archetypes, these energies are within us somewhere. So we can always call upon those energies, like we can call upon the energy of the sage and really embody it, call upon the energy of the Queen and really use that to lean into and activate and embody within us. All right. All right. So our first card that's come up is the Celebrity. This is one of the Sun's cards, and this is, I lead with my light. This is radiance. This is that leadership from animating your radiance, your light within, which could be stepping in with any one of your gifts. It could just be that collective, like, have you dimmed your light? That's what I'm hearing, is that if you're evolving and not trusting the next step, not trusting what's coming through, or not giving yourself the space to even tune in, even though you're feeling the friction, then you're dimming your light. Like when someone walks in the room and they just light up the room just by being in their full energetic currency. And when someone's taking the energy down because they're being a drag, like this is, for some of you, I'm just really seeing you like right around that 50 to 70% with your letting your light come through your gifts, come through trusting yourself. But it is that other 50 to 30% that is actually going to move the needle, where you're going to actually see the world respond to you. So where can you allow your light to shine brighter to, so that might be stepping into one of your gifts that you're been turning the light down on. That might be, stopping to doing a particular strategy that you're doing and giving yourself the space to do something new, to try it a different way. But there definitely needs to be a shift here because you have more light, you have more energetic currency that you could be leading with. And it's not necessarily what you say, what you do. It's just allowing more of who you are to shine through. The second card that came through is one of Saturn's cards. And this is the advocate. And this is the aligning for the greater good for all. This is where sometimes we're stepping in to advocate for ourselves, to advocate for someone else, for the greater good. Saturn always wants what's good for the many versus what's good for the one. The sun wants what's good for the one. There and let's I'm going to clarify that. The sun's mission is usually great for the many when it's aligned, but Saturn will sacrifice what's good for one person for what's good for the social collective. And this is that energy though of you in your next level of evolution. If you're really allowing yourself to evolve, you will be advocating for who you're meant to advocate for, even if that's through a product. Again, we're helping, we're serving, we are filling in the gap with a product, with a service, with our leadership, with our charity, uh, for that somebody else needs. And in that, again, we're sort of mending some of the holes in the fabric of the collective. And then there's the you advocating for a part of yourself. And the part of yourself is not your fear that you need to be advocating for. I'm speaking in two different ways here because I'm talking to the collective here, and there's a couple things coming through. And this is about you advocating for the part of you that's playing that's playing too small. And it's time for you to step up into your leadership. And when you can see how it's connected to the whole, that you stepping into your next level, you going bigger is actually in service to the whole, then it's going to pull you forward. So make that connection for yourself. A lot of times we get very insular in these situations. It's not working for me. What do I do? This is more about, yeah, but if I really am stepping in, if I'm really going where my soul is calling me, not only is it bringing me more prosperity, more joy, more happiness, more freedom, more peace, but how does that affect the greater whole? Like we're part of things here. So that's what the advocate's message is. The third card that came through is the teacher, another one of Jupiter's cards and archetypes. This is to know is to grow. This is clearly coming through for some of you is what you know, and maybe you're teaching others, you need to be doing yourself. There is so much power in doing our own work, actually doing our own work. You might be still teaching it, you might be doing it to a certain degree, but you want to take it to the next level, start teaching it to yourself at the next level. You start stepping in at the next level. So that's one of the messages coming through with the teacher here. And the other message comes back to something I was talking about earlier, which is knowing isn't enough. We have to come into embodiment. So this is again where you're going to have to come out of your head and down into living, embodying, taking inspired action on what's coming through, trusting it enough to take the inspired actions. When you take one inspired action at a time, you literally trust you're strengthening your trust muscle. You get that intuition, you get that guidance that, okay, I need to close this down. I need to open that up. I need to call so-and-so. I need to invest in this. And you actually do it. You build trust. And then you get to see the results. You don't get to see the results before that. So that inner level of trust, bringing what's coming through from your soul down to your soles of your feet is incredibly, incredibly important. Remember, the wisdom you are seeking is inside of you. It isn't outside of you. It's already within you. Every aligned decision you make is simply a deeper trust in who you're becoming. So let's not wait for your next level. Let's let's start stepping into it. Let's evolve into it. All of the links for everything I shared are with the show. I so appreciate you being here. I would love it if you subscribe, if you give this a star, if you share this around. That would be super wonderful. And I want you to remember that your next level of prosperity is unfolding through your inner trust. I so appreciate you being here. Next week, we're going to dive deeper into how to stay visible, clear, and energetically safe while leading from your soul's wisdom. All right. So much love to you all, and I can't wait to see you next time.